Hey everyone, John Flickraft here. This video is about getting the most out of your practice time. I'm a big believer in practicing things analytically first and then taking that information and creating with it. So the best way to do this, and you can do this with anything, you can do this with something really simple, and you can do it with something very complex. But what this does is it ensures that you actually understand the information and have internalized the information so that you can freely create with that information. Works for anything, works for simple things, works for very complex things, but I'm going to use a fairly simple thing to illustrate my point. I'm going to use a major triad. So let's say, for this example, that I'm learning a major triad for the first time. So I figure it out, I find out what the shape is, and I say, okay, this major triad has a root, and has a major third, and a fifth. So this shape creates a major triad. So I learn that, and in this case I'm doing a C major triad, so the notes are C, E, G. So I have the triad shape down, and then I add the octave, right? And then I say, okay, well this fifth is a G. Again, this is all analytical part of practicing. This fifth is a G. Well, there's a G there on the E string. You say, okay, well that's also in the triad, even though it's below this C root, it's still in the triad, it's a G. And then the third of the chord, this E natural, is also available as an open E string. So now I've got that available to me. So all these notes, without shifting out of this 4-fret area, are all C major triad. So I work on that and I figure it out, make sure I've got it, make sure I've got the shape, and it all makes sense to me. Then I internalize the information. Then I move on to a different part of the neck. Here's another place where I can play that same shape, the C octave, this C here, but I'm going to play it up here. So here's C, E, G. Whoop, not that note, just the triad. And then I can move it here to this C with the octave. I've got the octave available in this position. Right? And you can play, then I work on, again, analytically playing the notes in different orders. I say, all right, here's the third, here's E. Instead of going da da dee, I go do dee, like third, root, fifth, that kind of thing. Right? So once I've got that down, then I take that information and I create things with it. Because now I've got this information internalized, I understand the shape, I understand the notes. Then I take it and then I work on being creative with that information. So what I'm going to play here is just a groove. It's a 6/8 groove that involves the root, again, just the notes in the major triad. The root, the fifth, the octave, and the third. How's it go? So I'm just playing root, fifth, octave, fifth, third, fifth. So there's one thing I can do. Then another thing I can do, again, with the creative part of this stuff information I've internalized, is I can say, okay, here's this C major triad up here with the octave. What if I play this out of order, like third, root, fifth, and I use it as a little idea, right? So I've got this groove. Whatever it is, that's taking that information and being creative with it. So I highly recommend you try that and see how much it helps your improvement, how much it increases your improvement, and also makes your creativity with the stuff you've been working on come out in a much quicker, more efficient way. The other thing I recommend for getting the most out of your practice time is to practice to a schedule. Now I know not everybody is into this, but just hear me out. And what that means is you have a certain amount of time to practice. Let's say for this example, you have an hour a day to practice. You can split that hour into 4 15-minute sections, and each one of those sections has a different category. So just for the sake of this example, let's say the categories are music theory, reading, grooves, and ear training. All right, so everything you play fits into one of those things. Everything you're working on fits into one of those categories for 15 minutes. So if you're working on theory, it could be something like the notes in these triads. I'm working on the major triads around the neck, and what are these notes, right? That's just a theory thing, not a creative thing, but just the D flat major triad, the notes are D flat, F, A flat, like just theory stuff. Or it could be something really advanced theory-wise. As long as it's theory, it fits into that category. Then you have groove stuff, and that could be any kind of groove stuff. It could be groove stuff for a band you're in that you're working on. It could be groove stuff that you're working on. Let's say you really need to work on your eighth note grooves, so you work on those during groove time. Anything that's groove related, you work on during that time. Ear training. Ear training could be working out of an ear training book, or singing what you play, singing intervals and arpeggios and different things like that. That's ear training. Transcribing is ear training. Figuring out bass lines or parts of solos or whatever you're interested in learning, that is, in a sense, ear training. So that could fit into ear training. And what was the other thing? Reading. Could be anything. Could be reading something you work on for a gig. It could be reading rhythms. Anything that's reading goes into that category. So those are the things, the analytical practice first, then taking that information and being creative with it, and then practicing with a schedule are things that I highly recommend. It will make a big difference in your improvement, and you'll get much, much more. If you're not doing these things, you will get a lot, and you start doing it, you'll notice certainly within a month how much more you're getting out of your practice time, because after all, if you're going to spend time practicing, you want to see results, right? So thanks for watching. If you're interested in taking a lesson or you have any questions, just shoot me an email to johnflitcraft@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Take care.